What is up, guys? Welcome back to another Whodat breakdown episode of the Jenks Island Podcast, the only NFL podcast where a year takes from a washed-up Division III cornerback and his friends. In today's episode, Sterb and I are going to be breaking down the Saints, basically where they're at right now, how they named Spencer Rattler quarterback one, what we expect for this upcoming season, and then their future outlook after this year as well. Quick interruption here from the episode for a fun announcement. We're going to be doing another pick'em group for the upcoming 2025 season. And just like last year, we'll be giving away an NFL jersey of choice to whoever wins at the end of the year. Our only restriction for winning that jersey is that you subscribe to the channel. So make sure to click the link right here down below to join that group and hit subscribe, and you'll be eligible to win a jersey of your choice. We look forward to competing with you guys week in, week out. Let's get back to the episode. So getting right into it, Sterb. Obviously, the Saints had a quarterback battle, if you want to call it that, this offseason between Spencer Rattler and their newly drafted rookie, Tyler Shough, who is older than Rattler in his first year, Rattler going into his second year. So obviously, it provides a weird dynamic for a quarterback battle in comparison to ones we've seen in the past of vets versus younger guys. You have an older rookie coming in battling the younger vet. So an interesting battle there, but obviously Spencer Rattler came out, was named the quarterback one and the starter for this season. What are your thoughts on that, and how do you feel about Spencer Rattler going this season?
Yeah, I feel decent about it. I definitely feel like the coaching staff made the right choice. Maybe on like a play-to-play basis, Rattler doesn't give you as high of a floor, but I think like game-to-game basis, he does. Rattler last year was like, you couldn't really assess him based on what was around him. Like, I remember people telling me he looks terrible, he looks awful. I was just like, dude, look at who he's throwing to, like look who's in front of him. You can't really evaluate anything you saw last season with Rattler. And he showed some flashes. He's a little smaller, so like he can't see over the middle of the field sometimes. He's a little erratic. Shough is also erratic in different ways.
Definitely.
But I think like going into the season, I think I would agree with the coaching staff here, just starting with Rattler. If you go with Shough right in the start of the season and he looks bad, we've seen this with early quarterbacks, first rounders, high picks, whatever. Shough is a 40th overall pick, but still, like, if you feed a guy to the wolves, it's really not going to look great. And I know those situations are like some vets, say Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones this year, right? Like I would probably start Daniel Jones, and then that's kind of a bad scenario, but let's say Anthony Richardson was drafted this year at 4, right? Then you start with a guy who's high floor, and then as your backup plan, then you throw in the higher upside guy because 1, he has more time to develop, and 2, if he starts out bad, you can't really put the toothpaste back in the tube. Like it doesn't really work like that. So neither of these guys really showed much in the preseason. Rattler was getting more camp hype, was consistently reported as being the better quarterback throughout camp. But this was kind of Shough's job to lose, it felt like, because he was drafted 40th overall. Mm-hmm. So not something you want to see, but I don't think this quarterback battle will really matter like next year. But I do think Rattler was the right decision.
I'm really in the same headspace as you here, because I think, right, when you think about it, Spencer Rattler, like you said, he did have flash moments last season, especially against the Commanders and against the Bucks. Right, he had 2 in each game. He had a half where he looked really, really solid. In the Commanders game, it was the only half he played. He looked good, almost led them to a comeback win. I think they were down 17-0. Obviously, that's something you want to see. And then in the second game against the Bucks, he had the first half, looked really, really good. Second half looked really, really bad. And so if he can put it all together, and obviously with a better cast around him this year, with all of the starters being healthy for week 1, that's where you want to be as if you're Spencer Rattler. And it's his job right now at this point in time, like you said, right? They're putting him in there so they don't throw Tyler Shough into the wolves, because it's a tough stretch the first few games of the season. And we're going to break down the schedule in just a second. But for Spencer Rattler, if he goes out and looks even, I would say, a little bit above decent, like it's his job to lose against these teams that they're playing. And I think he has the opportunity. We just saw him go out against the Broncos defense. I believe he played 2 to 3 drives. He looked solid. There are moments where he looked a little bit iffy. I know he took like a sack. That was not something you really want to see from him, because that was an issue he had last season, was taking sacks, getting hit in the pocket, losing the ball, things like that.
And throughout his whole career.
Yeah. He's been the one thing I will say about him. He's not scared of throwing while taking contact, but he takes contact too much at times, like where he'll just wait too long in the pocket, and that's something you don't want to see. So if he can avoid doing that this season to start the season, he has a shot at really succeeding, and he has all of his receivers to target and throw the ball to. We saw it in the Broncos game this preseason, just last week, where he went and he was throwing the ball to Olave and Shaheed, and he looked solid, had one ball behind Shaheed that probably would have been a touchdown. Like, that's something you want to see get cleaned up. I just think it's a much better opportunity for him this year, and I think it was the right decision, like you said, from the coaches. Now, I want to ask you real quick, do you think this is a disappointment for Shough, or do you think more of it's them just trying to keep him under wraps so they can develop him a little bit more so he doesn't get, disrupted by that first few games where they're kind of facing tougher teams?
It doesn't really move me either way. It kind of just delays when we're going to see potentially flashes from him. I mean, like, obviously everyone would have liked if he tore up camp and won the starting job and was immediately like a plus starter, but I didn't think that was really in the cards. So it kind of just like pushes his evaluation till later in the season, probably like around week 7 or so.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. And speaking of that, I think for Spencer Rattler, he really has to prove it by week 6. If you're getting through week 4, I think they'd let him roll a little bit further if he wins 1 out of those 4 games. If he goes 0-4, I think we could see Shough come in week 5 against the Giants, and that's something that is going to be debated. I know Kellen Moore said that they don't want to have a QB debate throughout the season, but if Spencer Rattler is going out there looking rough against these tougher teams, it's going to be talked about. It's going to be talked about within the fan base. You're going to have the reporters bringing it up to him at the press conferences, things like that. So it's going to be something that's talked about throughout this Saints season, but it's just a matter of when Spencer Rattler comes out. But if he balls out, man, he's keeping that job. And I don't think it matters if they took Shough at 40 or not. Like, if he does well, like, you're keeping Spencer in. So
no one wants a QB debate, but when you have an unproven 5th round quarterback and then you draft a quarterback at 40, like you're begging for a quarterback debate. And especially with like a new head coaching staff, like, like, obviously I agree with Kellen, like, no one wants a quarterback debate. You'd rather just have like a top 10 guy and then like a good backup, but that's just not the case here.
Yeah, and I will add, you also brought up like the other like Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson. Like, I think the only time we've seen a team really put in that early round quarterback and then bench him and then put him back in was Bryce Young last year, and we saw it happen, and it seems like it worked out. We'll see how that plays out to start this season, but it is a situation you definitely don't want to be in. So I like that they put in Rattler to start. So moving on to our schedule preview and record predictions. Starting off the season, we got the Cardinals. I know that people talk about this 4-game stretch is tough, right? And I think the 3 games after it are tougher. I think this Cardinals game is a relatively middle of the pack game for them, where that they really do have a shot at winning. But I want to hear your thoughts on this game.
I'm going to go with the Cardinals here. Like, again, I don't have a lot of faith in like this offense or like, like, honestly, just like Rattler and like tight game environments. And honestly, these quarterbacks have like a lot of similar tendencies. Like, this might be just like a fun one to watch. I'm not saying Spencer Rattler's Kyler Murray or anything. Maybe like a diet version. But they have a lot of the same issues. So I do think the Cardinals defense is better. Their run game is better. Probably just overall. And I think I'm just going to go with the Cardinals here.
Yeah, and I think more than anything for me in this game, you want to see like the defense, kind of where the defense is at, especially with the scrambling quarterbacks, because during DA's time, right, you saw scrambling quarterbacks absolutely demolish us every single week. So can this new defense by Staley come in and settle Kyler Murray just a little bit and make it close? We're like +7 underdogs. If you make it close for even this or the next 3 games, like, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, but I at least want to see something out of the group. So I'll pick the I'm gonna pick the Saints in this one. I think I'm not a big fan of the Cardinals, right? And I've said that throughout the off season. I'm not a big Cardinals fan this season. I think they do have some potential, but I think they're definitely the worst team in that division. I know that's gotten like a little bit of hate as well, but I think the Saints have a shot here. And then I'll just say this. I think the next 3 games, 49ers, Seahawks, Bills, I think we can write those off as easy losses.
Yeah.
Right? I think
I
like that's just a tough stretch. If Spencer Rattler looks let me ask you this, Ethan. In this spread of 4 games, what do you think Rattler's stats would have to look like for him to be, viewed as solid?
Honestly, like the sacks are a big thing. You can't have more interceptions than touchdowns.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think the yardage needs to really be that high. Because like I think like if it's just like old reliable, like you're checking down to Alvin Kamara, like that's probably the best way to go if you're just like back with some uncertainty stepping in. I don't think he needs to like look like he knows what he's doing like a little bit. Benchmarks maybe like I don't know, like at least 190 yards a game, at least like a touchdown a game. Like I said, with the picks, that needs to be eliminated and just like not have those like absolutely like terrible, like Will Levis, what are you doing sort of moments. Like that's the biggest thing with me for Rattler is just like eliminating those negative plays.
Yeah. No, I'm in the same boat with you there. I think if he can just be average with touchdowns over the interceptions this time around, and like you said, I think the 190 yards is a good benchmark for him. And I think Kellen Moore is going to try to ramp up the run game for this season. So I'm excited to see what happens there. Next 4 games, you got the Giants, the Patriots, the Bears, and the Bucks. What do you think their win record coming out of that is? Because you have them 0-4 to start the first 4 games. What would their record be after those 4?
I think they probably split these next 4 games.
Okay.
I would have it as loss, win. So like the Giants, I know that like I'm really not high on the Giants, especially like offensively. Like I'm a big Dart hater. I don't think he's going to be starting at this point in the season. But like Russell Wilson doesn't really scare me like a whole lot. But what does scare me is that defensive line is like absolutely ridiculous. And if that can kind of like neutralize our offensive line, which probably is our best unit, like the chances of winning this game are not as rosy as some Saints fans might think. And then like the Patriots, I'm a little higher on the Patriots this year than like consensus. So I would have them winning this game. They clearly have the better quarterback. And then like the Bears, maybe like a little Dennis Allen revenge game there. That might get some people mad, but I don't know. Like there could be like some uncertainty around the Bears at this point in the season. I don't expect them to be just like a great offense and great defense, like right out of the bat. They might be like a second half sort of team. And then, against the Bucks, like I kind of just like split with all the division opponents. Cause like this division is like, even if it seems like there's a clear hierarchy to some people, like the division within itself is really like up and down. Like you really don't know who's going to win like a 40-point game where there's 80 missed tackles within this division. Like it feels like that happens every single time there's a division matchup. So with the division opponents, I'm probably just going to pick the home team and say that we split.
Yeah, no, I'll go 2-2 in this stretch as well. So that gets them to 3 wins through 8 games. I got them beating the Giants and the Bucks. So I agree with you there on the Patriots. I think that they're definitely higher than like where people are viewing them right now. I think they're going to be a solid team this year. And then the Bears, I think that DA is going to have the defense going, and I think their offense is better than our offense. So I think that they just have both sides better than us there. And then the Giants game, I'll just say this: I think it's going to be probably like a 10-7 game. Like that's going to be an ugly. It's going to be an ugly game. So be excited for that. It could be Shough's first debut game. Like I think that's kind of the threshold. Is that after week 4, that's kind of the threshold there. if Spencer Rattler is doing above average, I think they give him those 2 weeks. So they give him week 5, week 6, and then go from there. But I think I think this could be a Shough game here, but I think it'll be close. I see the Saints possibly eking it out just because it's at home. I'll give them the dome advantage there. And then the Bucks, again, at home. And like you said, the rivalry, like this division, you can never, it's a flip a coin for whoever wins each game.
Yeah.
So I'll never bet the spread in those games. I'll tell you that. Like I usually just don't pick the games in general because
just pick the over.
Just pick the over, under, whichever way you want to go, but never spread or head to head. Next 4, we got the Rams, Panthers bye week, and then the Foul Clowns. So what is going to be your thoughts on those 3? What's the record of those 3 games?
Yeah, so like I said, within the division, like kind of just setting everything there even. So like we're away against the Panthers and then we're home against the Foul Clowns. So we lose against the Panthers, win against the Foul Clowns. That's what I have. And then like LA at home, I don't think we have a shot at that game. Like maybe if it's Jimmy G, but like even then, I still think it's probably going to be like a 10-point win at least for the Rams.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. I'll give them the Foul Clowns game coming out of the bye week. I think that's always good. Like, you're getting rest. You're coming into the game against the Foul Clowns. The dome's going to be popping. It's a home game. Everyone hates the Foul Clowns. Like, I just think that's going to be a good game for the Saints fans out there. And it's a 325 game in New Orleans, but 425 East Coast. And so I think that'll be a fun game to watch. The other 2, I think, are losses, especially that Rams game. Like you said, that's going to be, I think the Rams will be really good. If Jimmy G's in there, he'll be able to game manage his way into some wins. And I think they're just a better team all around than the Saints at this point in time. Next 4, you got the Dolphins, the Bucks, the Panthers, and then the Jets. What's the record through those 4?
Yeah, so I have us 3-1 in that stretch. Obviously, you have the 2 division games, so home teams win both of those. So that's 1-1. Win against the Panthers, lose against the Bucks. The Jets, dude, I don't even like Justin Fields could be starting by then. Like I don't know. I have no idea what that team is going to look like by then. I think the defense will have given up, kind of just like they did last year with the worst or with a better quarterback. And honestly, like you only really have to worry about Garrett Wilson, and then like pretty much not. Like I think their wide receiver 2 is Josh Reynolds right now. That's ridiculous. Like you can't run. You can't run an NFL offense like that. Yeah, and then the Dolphins. I was beating the Dolphins. I think like maybe this was earlier in the year when the Dolphins are a little healthier, but also Achane's like banged up right now, so I don't know how that's going to look. The Dolphins feel like a team that just like kind of. You don't really know what you're getting. Like if they're healthy, they're going to be solid. But like the secondary is terrible. Like Storm Duck is their cornerback 1. And if he gets injured, like I don't know the second cornerback on the Dolphins. Like it's really that bad. The defensive line is good. But our offensive line is probably around the same at this point in the season or in this eventual point in the season. So it doesn't really inspire a lot of confidence for me in Miami. So yeah, I'm going the Saints there. So yeah, 3-1 in that 4-game stretch.
Yeah, I think I like 3-1. I think it's tough for me. I think I definitely see them beating the Jets at home. I think that's one that the Saints I think we're favored for that one. That's the one game we're favored in the season right now. So I see them winning that one. Panthers as well. I think we can win. I think we're pretty evenly matched with them. I know that people are very high up on the Panthers in comparison they were last year, but I think as far as rosters go, really the only place that we are like really, really poor at right now is quarterback. And that's just because it's very unknown. Yeah. So I think we could pull that one out at home as well.
Easily. I'll go. Yeah. I think that, yeah.
Yeah. And then the Bucks, we're away. Rattler made it close last year. So if Rattler's starting, maybe it's a close game. But I think we're probably to Shough by this point because you at least want to see where you have them after the bye week, like at tops. Like you want to see something from Shough. So I think it'll be a Shough game. I think we lose that one. And then the Dolphins, like you said, no clue in hell. It's an absolute coin flip for me because I just don't know where they're going to be. This could be a team that this is after the trade deadline, right? You could see Tyreek gone. You could see a lot of the changes to that roster by that point in time. I'll give the Dolphins the win for now at their current roster and if they're healthy. But if obviously, like you said, if something's happened to that roster where they're just kind of in a bad point during the season, I think the Saints could pull it out. But I'll give the Dolphins the win for now, just kind of as a provisional win. But I could see us winning that. So I'd go 2-2 in that stretch. Then finishing off the season, we got the Titans and the Foul Clowns. What are your thoughts on those two?
Yeah, I think these are both losses. Titans, like their roster, I feel like the roster is like a little underrated. Like their defensive line is actually pretty good. Not really much on the edge, but like you got Jeff Simmons and Trevondre Sweat in there. Like that's a nasty duo. And then I think it's Denard Wilson is their defensive coordinator. Like he's super underrated. And like honestly, if Staley's getting fired, like I probably think he will. Like he could be someone that we're targeting next year. And then I think Cam Ward's probably going to catch on at this point of the year. Like I'm pretty confident in Cam Ward being at least like the top half of the league quarterback.
Yeah.
He's super hard worker. Like, he's got that dog in him. It's a cliche, but it fits with Cam Ward for sure. In like second half of the year, like week 17, I'm banking on Cam Ward to pull this one out. And then like, last game of the year is divisional game against the Falcons, and that's the home team. So I went with the Falcons there.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely like, I don't disagree with either of those games. I think I'll give the Saints the win over the Titans. I think that our defense is gonna be solid by then, and I think if they're all healthy, they'll at least be. I think that we're gonna be an above average defense. I think their offense is still, like you just said, I think the Titans, they have a young offense at every position, basically, except the receiver room. Obviously, have Calvin Ridley, but outside of that, they're pretty young. And then they have Cam Ward, the running backs. Tony Pollard's going to be solid, but Tyjae Spears also should be healthy by this point. The offense is decent. I think that the Saints' offense, as a whole, outside of that quarterback position, is better. I think our defense could slow down the Titans, so I'll give the Saints the win. This is like I think this is the only away game I have them winning this year. So I'll give them that one as the one away game that they win the season to finish. I believe I have them 7-10. And I think you're right at 7-10 as well.
I have 6-11 because that lost to the Giants.
Right. Yep. So yeah, 6-11, 7-10. I think 7-10 is pretty optimistic, right? I definitely could see us finishing below that mark. 6-11, not bad. I know people were hating when I put out 7-10 on the TikTok. I put out a record prediction of that. And I think like obviously that's with the splits in the division. If the Bucks sweep or if the Foul Clowns sweep, because they could be significantly improved this season, I think that changes their odds a lot. And I think that changes the outlook of the season. But I think the Saints,
then again, also beat the Panthers both games. Like that wouldn't be that surprising to me.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I'm excited to see what the team does. I think for me and for me, I think this season, right? You're not really, who gives a shit about the win totals?
No one cares about the record.
People care, right? About, oh, we want Arch Manning at the 101 next year. He might not even be there. You just want to see the team, the young players specifically on this team, looking like they're going to build up to something, right? You want to see like they have some potential. And if they're winning a few of these games that, they shouldn't be, right? They're the underdogs in basically every single one of these games except for the Jets. So if they're showing something, that's what you want to see. And as a Saints fan, I'll always cheer on a win. Like I'm never going to be like, oh shit, we won a game. Like there goes Arch. Like,
like what are we doing?
Yeah. Like cheer on your team, guys. What are we doing? So I'll cheer on Spence as long as he's QB1, and I'll cheer on Shough if he becomes QB1. Like I'm ride or die with the team, so I'm excited for the season, whatever happens. Anyways, moving on to breakout players. Sterb, who's going to be your first breakout player for this Saints team?
Yeah, if the viewers have been watching the podcast, this is going to come as no surprise, but it's going to be Rashid Shaheed for me on the offense.
Yep.
Like in his very limited games last year, his role was also pretty limited as well. He still kind of showed flashes with the ball in his hands, and that's kind of what I want to see in this first year with Kellen Moore. I think he's an underrated route runner, but like still probably the weakest part of his game is like his release and his contact off the line of scrimmage. Like he can get jammed up like a little bit, but if you're using him like in a lot of free releases where he's off the line of scrimmage or he's in motion at the start of the snap, like that's going to be like pure butter for the offense. And like honestly, like I feel like he could be used in like a Jameson Williams type of role where it's like these quick crossers that are set up for like yak plays. And I didn't feel like Derek Carr was very good at like making those sort of throws. He had a couple good deep balls to Shaheed, but he also missed on like a good amount. Like he missed on, I think like 2 against the Eagles and then like 1 in the game before that were just like a little bit off. And like, honestly, we could have been talking about Rashid Shaheed as like, I think he would have been like top 10 in fantasy points throughout like the first 5 weeks if he makes those catches. But like a lot of these like quick hitting yak plays, like I feel like maybe Shough can get to those. He throws over the middle at a decent rate. Derek Carr like sort of does, but when he does, it's kind of a hospital ball. Anyways, like his outlook this year is like, I want to see him used like more at the pre-snap motion, more in like those off the line of scrimmage, more lined up in the slot where he's like getting across the field, rather than just like getting the ball in his hands late in the play. Cause I feel like if you use him in like if you're trying to guard him, right, your defensive coordinator, if you don't know what point in the play he's going to get the ball, that he's going to slow down a little bit, that's kind of like a nightmare. Cause like he could be thrown to a second and a half into the play, or it could be like 4 seconds and he's down the field and he's scoring a touchdown. And honestly, like for a creative play caller, like I feel like this is like a dream come true for like a creative play caller and a wide receiver too. So like if Kellen Moore is kind of what Saints fans are hoping that he is going to be, where he's using more like motion, I think the Eagles last year in motion went from, so in 2023, they used motion on 34.9% of their snaps. And then it went up to 65.5 with Kellen Moore. And that's with Jalen Hurts. Like, that's with Jalen Hurts, like not really liking that stuff. And they kind of went away from motion in the second half of the season last year. So that could have been even higher. And I feel like that plays into Rashid Shaheed's strengths. Olave is good, but like he does get hurt a lot, not to the fault of his own. And I think Shaheed's just going to be reliable, and we're going to see a lot of different usage from him this year.
Yeah, I think for Rashid Shaheed, like you said, like it's a lot of that yak. Like if you could get him going with the yak, I think he immediately jumps up stats wise. I think he could be a 1,000-yard receiver this season if they do use him to his like full ability, and it's a similar type style of player as Jameson Williams. And I think people, when I say that, I know some people are gonna be like, what, Jameson Williams is like 10 times better, but I think if you watch the tape,
not really, no.
If you've seen what he's done, like they're extremely, extremely similar in both builds, in play style and skill. Like I think they're very, very similar players. So I think Rashid Shaheed should be spoken of and across the league as such. And I think he will show it on the field this season. And I think he could possibly like leap Chris Olave stats wise this season just because of Chris Olave's play style, right? I think when we see Chris Olave, right, especially with the concussions he has at the moment, you see him have games where he's uninvolved. Chris Olave is uninvolved because he's more of a possession receiver at this point in time. And I think that's due to concussions as well. You saw a lot of the concussions take him out of games last season. And now in the preseason, we saw a couple moments where it seems like Olave is avoiding contact intentionally, which makes sense, right? Like it makes sense at his current state with the injuries and concussions and things like that, where Rashid Shaheed seemingly is willing to take more hits and make things happen after the catch. So that's a possibility. Just want to put it out there. My breakout player, my first one, is going to be Bryan Bresee, and we've talked about this a lot. I know, and this isn't about like I'm not saying he's going to break out as far as running defense. Like if you look up the PFF grade for him, it's very, very low. And we've talked about that on the podcast before. But this is a guy who had 7.5 sacks last season, and with Staley coming over, I think it changes his role to be able to pass rush a little bit more and be more focused on the pass rush side of things on defense. And that gives him an opportunity to truly be a breakout player as far as stats goes. For like just the NFL leaders. Like I think he will be up there as far as defensive tackles go. He'll be up there in the leaders group and leaders circle in sacks. He was, I think, 9th last year in defensive tackles, and he'll be higher this year. We saw it against the Broncos. He had multiple pressures against the Broncos in just a few series against their starters. So I just want to see Bryan Bresee with a full season in this defense. I think he truly will break out. And no, I don't think he'll be the most improved run defender, but he should be a little bit better this year too in this new scheme. So
can't be much worse.
Yeah, like it's very, very hard for him to. It's going to be very hard to be worse. But I think Bryan Bresee will be a breakout player this year for the Saints for sure. Ethan, do you have any others to add?
I mean, kind of. I mean, like the second string like linebacking core, I thought against the Chargers was like really good. Like Jalen Ford and Isaiah Stallbird. Like Isaiah Stallbird,
I like it.
He kind of has the skill set where he's a little harder to plug into like a starting lineup. Where I think like Jalen Ford can play. Yeah. He can play Mike, Will, or Sam. I think that he was mainly used as a strong side linebacker in that Chargers game. But he's listed, this could be incorrect, but he's listed as on our lads as a weak side linebacker. And he kind of plays like a little reckless, like lacks some awareness, but like he's made some plays in the run game. And like it is kind of very boomer bust with him, but he was strictly a special teamer last year. And if Saints fans know anything, like strictly special teamers, like there's room for growth there with
who was
Zach Bond? Not saying he's Zach Bond, but
Zach Bond. Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah. There's also been like we also see special teamers somehow like they'll eventually get a role, especially at the linebacker position. Craig, pretty sure it was Craig something 52. I'm blanking on his last name. He was really he was a solid linebacker that they could plug in. He was never like starting caliber, but he got the job done. Jalen Ford could be that, and I want to bring up. Denny Stutzman, he was going to be one of my other breakout players as well. Our 4th round pick out of OU. I think he's the cracker with the juice, self-proclaimed. That's what he calls himself. But he's a guy that makes plays, and he always, his nose is always going towards the ball. He's got a nose for the football. Wants to make plays every single snap that he's on the field. He had a huge special teams play against the Broncos in preseason. I think he'll be a good special teams player, but I think he's also going to get legit snaps behind DeMario and Pete Werner, as well as a guy like Jalen Ford and Isaiah Stallbird that you just mentioned. So I'm glad that you brought them up. I'm trying to think off the top of my head if I have other breakout players. I want to see, this isn't necessarily a breakout, but I want to see if Mason Tipton can convert his preseason success to the regular season, because we've seen last year, like all of camp, it's like this guy Mason Tipton's making a lot of plays. Then you get to the regular season, couldn't make a catch, couldn't get open, like anything. So this isn't a breakout, but I want to see Mason Tipton go out and actually make things happen. So
yeah. And another one that I kind of debated was Talise Fuaga. Moving back to right tackle. Like he was probably the best rookie run blocker last year in this class. And like moving to right tackle, he's going to have so much more availability to do that on the right side rather than like there's a lot of pressure on the left side. I think Kilvin Banks will be solid there, but like I think we could see like a lot of pancake plays, a lot of highlights from Talise Fuaga, and maybe he could get like mentioned as like more of a nationally known player rather than just he's the tackle on the Saints.
Yeah, because that's what it was last year, right? I mean, the first few games. You had people talking about the O-line, like because we were doing so well offensively. And then after that happened, it just stopped. No people were talking about Fuaga anymore or Eric McCoy anymore. Like these are guys that they're really, really good and they're just not getting talked about. And I'm glad you brought Yeah,
For the
sorry, go ahead.
Saints to have players in like national discussions, we're probably going to have to be a 13-win team. Like that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
It's not like we're the Cowboys or whatever.
We're very irrelevant. Yeah. And I will say I'm glad you brought up Kelvin Banks because he was, according to PFF, the
Your
highest
arch
rated.
nemesis.
He was, yes, my arch nemesis. But he was according to PFF the highest graded pass protector in preseason. Kelvin Banks.
He looked stellar.
He did.
He looked stellar.
And he faced some of the Jaguars' top pass rushers in that preseason game. And they played the Broncos starters. And I still want to say he did pretty well. I didn't notice anything bad from him when I'm watching the tape. Whereas last year when I'm watching the tape, like you could notice like Trevor Penning wasn't going to be a great tackle. Like he was solid. But he wasn't going to be like anything great last season. So I'm excited for Kelvin Banks and Fuaga. Moving on. Go ahead.
Sorry. With Banks, like in preseason, like what really stood out to me is like his ability to handle stunts. Like he passes off guys incredibly well. Like he's keeping hands on guys, not watching them. And then like it really nothing got past him. So he's like not easily fooled. Which like in his frame, like that could have been kind of a concern if he was like getting got over and over again. Yeah. But yeah, he handled stunts extremely well.
And let me say this real quick, because when we were doing our preseason stuff during the draft, people were hating. People, specifically Ty and Hammer, were very, very low on him. I want to say I had him. I don't remember exactly where I had him in my list. He was either second or third. But Ty and Hammer.
In your guard list, right?
I had him in the tackle list as well. I had him still in there. I had him still. But Ty and Hammer were like, this guy's not a tackle. He can't play tackle. He's a guard. And a lot of it was against Georgia. And I'm watching the Georgia tape and I'm like, half these plays were not on him, right? I'm watching the tape. I think Quinn Ewers was really just not navigating the pocket well, putting him in a bad spot. And then he's getting blamed for it. So I didn't like that at all.
Quinn Ewers is terrible.
Hey, man, that's the Dolphins' future right there, okay? That's you watch your mouth. No, I'm kidding. But people, the way the people in that fan base are talking about him, you think that's the scenario there. But anyways, moving on from breakout players to team MVPs. We'll do both sides of the ball, team MVP for offense and a team MVP for defense. Who's going to be your offensive MVP for this season?
Yeah, this one's pretty easy for me. It's Alvin Kamara. There's really no excuse for him not to get like 30% like 15% of the target share and then like 60 to 70% of the rushes. Like when you have a difficult quarterback situation and you have like one of the best explosive and reliable weapons right there in the backfield, there's no reason why he shouldn't be like easily by far and away the number one target, which like when we had bad quarterback situations in the past, that's kind of what happened. And that's why like I'm in on him for fantasy this year. I know that's another discussion, but like people are like, oh, that's the Saints quarterback. Like who even is it? I'm like, dude, it's been this way. Like get with the program. We haven't had good quarterback play in a while.
Yeah.
And Kamara is still that guy. So yeah. And like year one of the system, Kellen Moore loves running the ball. They like checkdowns to running back has been like a common theme of his offense in the past. Alvin Kamara is gonna absolutely feast this year.
Yeah, no, I think Alvin Kamara definitely has a good shot at producing, and I think for him, like you just said, like everyone sleeps on him fantasy year in year out, and it's like what are we doing? Every single year I'll pick him in fantasy leagues because every single year I know that I'm gonna be getting like the highest floor you could possibly get for a fantasy running back because he'll give you 10, 12 points, especially in PPR, just because he's getting passed the ball by checkdowns and screens and things like that. So for the Saints offense, especially this year with Kellen Moore, I think he's going to be a big producer in fantasy as well as just stats wise. And I think he could be the offensive MVP. Just to share a different perspective, I would have probably picked Alvin Kamara for mine as well. But to switch it up, I'm going to go Rashid Shaheed for the team offensive MVP here. Because, like, I mean, he was the camp MVP for offense. according to multiple like Saints reporters, Nick Underhill, Mike Triplett, Ross Jackson, like they all loved what he was doing in this preseason. And I think when you go into the offs and when you go into the regular season, it's not going to change. He's back from his injury, he's healthy, and he's a guy that just like we were saying, does absolutely everything. His route tree isn't the most polished, but he can run every route on the tree. So I think he'll be able to get separation from whoever. He absolutely destroyed Pat Surtain on a route that Spencer Rattler underthrew. He got separation, was able to. It was probably a touchdown if he threw it on target, but we'll see what happens there. I think Rashid Shaheed could be a team MVP on.
He's also like one of the best double move wide receivers in the league.
Oh yeah,
like people don't like realize that about him. Like he absolutely fries people on double moves.
Yeah, and people don't talk about his speed as much as because he didn't run the 40. But I guarantee you, if he did run the 40, it'd be up there as far as the league goes. For defense, I'm just gonna go with the whole defensive line as this team defensive MVP.
Pick one.
That's tough. Because I genuinely believe
that's
like
my point.
They're going to be dominant. Like I think the D line is going to be more dominant than people expect. It might not be like a top 5 group, but it could be a top 10 group as far as sacks goes. Because I think Brandon Staley's going to be just drawing random shit up. Like I think he's going to be having them going a little bit crazy. I think Godshaw's going to be able to hold down the middle, right? I think we've seen that from him. He's going to be the anchor as far as the run game goes. Chase Young has a real opportunity to break out. This could be his breakout year, and this is similar to like a Kyle Pitts, right, of defense. Like this is the young guy, came out of college. Everyone's like, this guy's going to be an athletic freak once he gets to the NFL. He hasn't done it. But every single year, every single offseason, Chase Young, guys, watch out for Chase Young. He's got some pressures going in camp.
The hype was crazy.
Yes. And the hype every single year just builds. Regular season gets there, and then there's no production. This year, I think Chase Young could. If I can't choose the D-line as a whole, I'm probably going to have to go with Demario Davis then, just because he's the leader of that team, and you still see him just make plays. Like he had a play against the Broncos on an outside run to RJ Harvey where he blew up a blocker and still made the tackle as well, or for like half tackle. So this is a guy that still playing elite level, even at the age of, I believe he's 36 or 37 now. He's going to be the defensive MVP. Who would you think? Is it going to be Demario as well or someone else?
Yeah, it was Demario for me. And that's why I was kind of surprised when, like, if I make you pick one on the D line, I know you're going to revert to Demario. Dude's an actual robot. Like, last year, like the tackling wasn't like
the
best. The level that it normally was. Kind of throughout the whole Saints team, like that's one of the worst tackling performance in this season that I've ever seen. I don't expect that to happen again. He's still one of the most underrated players in the league, and not by players even. Like the players love him, but you know he's on the Saints, so linebacker on the Saints not probably going to get much national attention. And with Chase Young, I think it was like a couple weeks ago. I was like, I wonder what like the discourse among like defensive players was like a few years ago. Yeah. So I went back and I watched like an old athletic football podcast, and they were drafting defensive players for the next like 5 years. I forget which year this was, but Chase Young went 3rd overall amongst all of the defensive players. And I was like, I knew the hype was like good, but I didn't remember it being this good.
Yeah.
So like, obviously he's a talented guy. You know, like if he can finish with around like 12, 13 sacks, I think that'll be a win for him. So
he just
I mean, yeah.
Sorry, he just needs to get above double digits. Like we just got to see something. Yeah. Like we saw last season, right? And this is according to PFF here. He had 66 total pressures that put him in 7th. And then he had 47 hurries, but he only had 7 sacks. So it's a guy that like the production.
He's a pocket pusher more than he is a sack artist.
Yeah. So I think this year with the different stunts and the different lines, just the different setups that Staley's going to have going, the fronts that he has going, I think he's going to have a lot more production. And I think I already said Brian Brissy, he's going to have a lot more production. I think the D-line as a whole will finally be able to get home. And that's something that has been so frustrating for Saints fans under DA is we'll see the defensive line get close to the quarterback, but then you just see him come scurrying out and there's a 30-yard play downfield every single time. So I want to see that kind of change, but and I think that's kind of possible this season. Do you have anything to add there, Sterb, or do you want to move on to the team outlook?
No. One thing I didn't have written down for the breakout stars is like you kind of need it to be one of the quarterbacks, and you pretty much need it to be Kool-Aid. Like they're asking kind of like a really unfair amount from a second round cornerback. Mm-hmm. Like it's him and Isaac Yiadom starting on the outside. Like that doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. Like yeah, I know, I know, but like. You really need to step up from Kool-Aid this year if like he's gonna if that secondary is really gonna be passable. So I didn't have that written down, but that just came to mind.
No, it's
but we said enough on the defensive MVPs.
Yeah, no, I do like that you brought that up. I think Kool-Aid, like you said, being asked a lot of, but if he can show that he's at least solid, like that's all you want to see, then you don't have to worry about the position nearly as much. If he sucks, then you're kind of screwed. Like you
if he looks like an all right corner too, that's good.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like you're like in a good position, but if he sucks, then you are so screwed as far as the draft goes. Because if you have no quarterback, no cornerback, you have like those
not even like depth. You don't even have
there's no depth either. Really. And those are the positions that really are those premium first round picks that you really have to lock down. And now we've seen them take a cornerback in Kool-Aid in the second round. And if he doesn't pan out, that's not what we want to see. And then we've seen them take quarterbacks 2 years in a row. You want to see them pan out as well. So a lot of stuff going on in the drafts there. Moving on to team outlook for I would say the next 4 years, as this rebuild process goes on, what would you say is like the biggest thing for this season that you want to see? And then you want to see in the future for them just to set up the team for success?
Yeah. So I kind of broke this down between like offense and defense. So like for offense, the main thing that I'm watching is that I want this to be a top 10 offensive line by the end of the year. Definitely. Given how much investment we've put into it, I don't really think there's an excuse for us to be not a top 10 unit at the end of the year. And then could we make it like a good situation independent of the quarterback? Like, obviously nowhere near the roster of the Vikings, but like the Vikings have done literally the best job of this in the NFL to where it's like, they could put in 20, 25 quarterbacks and have like a winning record. Like, could we kind of strive towards that while we're working on our backup quarterback essentially? And it kind of reminded me of like, can we be like a better, like upgraded version of like last year's Titans where like you have a second round quarterback, you had questions on the O-line. Their O-line is less talented than ours last year. You have like some weapons that maybe could be good. Our weapons are more talented. They're better. And then like, could you have like a couple stars emerge on the defense? Like that really is like the number one thing for me on defense. Like if we're the 25th best defense and none of the D-line emerges and it's still like Demario Davis doing everything, that's a pretty massive loss.
Yeah.
Or if it's like, we're the 25th best defense and like, it kind of looks like a bit like stars and scrubs out there. You kind of need that because you need to know who to get rid of, who to replace, and who you can build around in the future. Like Kool-Aid, not a good situation, but he's being thrown into like a crucible. Like we're gonna know if he's like a cornerback 2 or better, or if he's just not it, and we need to move on from him. He's only in his second year, but that's just like a scenario. And then like with the defensive line, like one of these guys needs to step up and be like, okay, if I was on like a competing team and this is my third best pass rusher, I feel good about it because we don't have any of those guys right now. Like if Chase Young is your number 2, feel pretty all right about it. But other than that, we don't really have a guy like outside of that in like a tier, unless you count Brzee, sorta. But like he's situational. He's a situational player. He's not gonna make an impact every down.
Granderson too is probably like he's
but you don't feel like if that was your third best pass rusher on a contender, you don't feel good about it. You know what I mean? Like you probably want to upgrade at that position, and that's what I'm kind of looking for. And then like the back end, pretty passable. Besides like cornerback, again, we're gonna find an answer there whether we like it or not. And then like Chase Young needs to look like he's really affecting games rather than just like oh, he's actually pretty good. Like, did you know like Chase Young has like 12 sacks this year? Like, oh, that's crazy. Like he needs to be like actual,
Yeah,
like
producing.
making a difference down to down.
Mhm.
And then like, yeah, same thing on offense. Like, you kind of need to know who to build around. I don't think it's going to be either the QBs, but know like who to move on from, and kind of just make it a good situation for hopefully a high pick quarterback next year.
Yeah, I like our as far as the offensive side goes, like you just mentioned. I think the core there is solid. I think the O-line should
Yes.
be solid. I think that we need depth. We do need depth there, like
Yes,
at
that
least
is true.
especially healthy. But the starters, solid. You got the receiver room right now. You want to see
Mhm.
Olave take a like that true leap to be the receiver
Yeah.
one this year. That's what you want to see. If not, you're possibly moving on from him in a year or two, and you might be just paying Rashid Shaheed instead and
Mhm.
focusing on him. For running backs, I think you have solid running back depth. I want to see Kendre Miller stay healthy. If he stays healthy, I think he could be the replacement for Kamara like next season or a couple years from now and going into the future. Devin Neal looks solid as well. Velus Jones Jr., more of like a gadget kind of guy. And then the tight end room, I want to see. I'm not expecting much there. I think the tight end room's kind of
Yeah.
mid. It's just like they're there, they function, right? But they're not
Mhm.
doing anything spectacular.
They don't really do anything. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you could draft, right? You could draft a tight end late in the draft and hit on that. So I'm not like too worried about early capital there. Defensive side of the ball, you want to see Kool-Aid, like we just talked about, Kool-Aid kind of ascend this season a little bit. I want to see the safeties because we have a young safety core
Mhm.
now. I want to see them provide something this season because I think we're a better safety group than we were last season, and that's saying so. Like Tyrann Mathieu, with the as good of a career as he had, you could definitely tell he was falling off last
Yeah.
season as far as skill and just what he was doing on the field for us. I want to see the safeties provide something. I think Alontae Taylor is going to be a really good nickel and like that star position in
Mhm.
Staley's defense and linebacker depth. I'm fine in the linebacker depth. I think our linebacker room is actually pretty solid, and I want to see the D line, like you said, just produce something. So basically this year, I want to see the younger players start to actually show something. And then if we can add defensive line and maybe a quarterback, if the quarterback takes a leap, then
Yeah.
if one of these two
You're way ahead
quarterbacks
of the
somehow hits, like you are very, 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 very happy because
Yeah.
as
No
a
Saints
whole,
fan should be expecting that though.
yeah, no Saints fan should be looking at as an expectation. But like if
Mhm.
you look at this roster right now, if you have a good quarterback, like this is it's a decent roster
Mhm.
across the league. Like it's not bad. Like if Derek Carr was still here, which obviously like we're in purgatory if he is, like it's still you can win the division with Derek Carr as your quarterback. And that's not really where you're going to be because it's not a Super Bowl team, but they're definitely like a solid team. So if one of these quarterbacks takes a leap and then next year you can focus on D line in the first round, I think that's really, really where you want to be.
Mhm.
But I think quarterback and D line is really the focus for the upcoming draft. And then I just want to say that we need to start hitting in the draft in the early rounds. I think that's been one of the downfalls of this team is why there's no depth at O line or D line is because the people were taking their suck. Like, I mean, we just saw Isaiah Foskey get cut, and he was a second rounder a couple years ago, and he didn't have a stat in his career. I don't believe. Like, he might have had a tackle here or there, but he was the definition of just terrible. And Isaiah Foskey, if you're somehow see this or hear this, I'm sorry. I think you're a great guy, but on the football field, you're not. You just weren't producing, so you had to go. I'm sorry. It's just how it is. So I want to see them be able to draft well and better talent. And if they can't, then I think it's starting to look like Mickey Loomis needs to go, and you need a new regime at the talent scouting position and drafting positions of this team. But I think Kellen Moore has a good start at turning this offense into something that could possibly succeed in the long run.
Yeah, like the pieces are there on the offense. Like that,
Mhm.
I think Saints fans should be pretty optimistic about it because like we said, like the biggest concerns outside of the quarterback, like is maybe Chris Olave is not really a one. Maybe he's like
Yeah.
better suited as a two. You can trade him away. And first round wide receivers have a pretty high hit rate in the past years. Like pretty easy to draft and replace, right?
Yeah.
And then like the other concern is offensive line depth. Very, very cheap, very, very easy to get. So like I think the offense is like pretty all right in like a 2-3 year outlook sort of position. But like defense, you really just need some stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think as a whole, the Saints team in a tough spot at this point in time, but let's all, like, as Saints fans as a whole, just go into the season and expect to just not have a great record, but go in and try to just be happy for the younger players, expect something from the younger players. And if that's not happening, then you're kind of in a bad spot, but just anticipate the young players, watch the games. I think we should all just enjoy just the youth movement because we are rebuilding, right? Like people and fans were all saying, oh, we need to rebuild. We got to get rid of Carr, start the rebuild now, start the rebuild, get rid of DA, get rid of Pete Carmichael when we had him. Like now they're starting the rebuild. It's here. So start like just emphasizing it and being enthusiastic about it because it's where we're at this point in time. And this season we might not see much, but maybe the young players show something, and then next year you're excited. Like that's where we're kind of at, and that's where Saints fans should expect to be for this season. Anyways, Sterb, any closing thoughts to add for the episode? Or are you good?
Yeah, no, I kind of agree like with everything you said in terms of like watching the games, and I don't think Saints fans should be like really, really mad when we get a win and it's like, oh, we're tanking our draft, whatever. And then like when we lose, it's like, yeah, go Saints, you're doing the right thing. Like just let the players do their thing. You know, if they show flashes and we lose games, good. If they show flashes and we win games, good. You know, it's kind of independent of record in this first season. So it's my message to Saints.
Yeah, and especially with a new head coach, right? Like he's never going to be like, oh yeah, we want to lose games. Like this guy's like trying to keep his job, and especially I will especially say this: Mickey Loomis is definitely fighting for his job right now. Like if he doesn't hit with another head coach, and this rebuild process just tanks, he's done. So this Saints team, like they're going to be trying to win week in, week out. So don't get mad if they start winning just because you want Arch Manning, because he's not even a guarantee to hit this like he's not even guaranteed to hit the draft. So we'll see how it goes. But anyways, that'll do it for this Saints preview episode. I'm going to be trying, and if Sterb's available, I'm going to be trying to do weekly, previews of the games each week, and then maybe like a reaction episode after the games as well. So stay tuned for more Saints content out there, and then we'll be doing normal NFL content week in, week out as well. If you guys want to subscribe to the channel for that, make sure to check out our content for that as well. Anyways, you guys know where to check us out at Jenks Island on social media, and wherever you get your podcast at Jenks Island as well. We'll see you guys next week.